God, whether he was going to be alive or die in his sickness, a man intercepted the messenger and said, go and say to the king, is it that there is no God in Israel, that you have gone to Ekron to inquire of their God? See, on that reason you shall die in that sickness. And the king said, describe the man you saw. He said, he wears camel skin. And he said, that must be Elijah. And that's when he sent men to go and arrest him. He said, oh Elijah, the king said you should come down. Brothers, the pathway of that mantle is a rugged one. He has no business with the palace. Even the man, the person that wanted to help Elisha, built up a place where he said, we say that this man is a man of God that passes there. He only lodges there as he is going. He has no business with the civilization of their time. And sometimes you want to journey even to certain mantles and oils, and when you are called to be separated from the world and the civilization of our time, you think it's too much. Oh bro, you don't understand. You don't understand that if a man must intercept these wells that has been dug by the ancient, there are protocols around it. There are protocols around it. That is why certain regulations, I am sure probably John must have only read. They asked him, are you Elijah? He said no. He didn't read about Elijah. He only read about the prophet, the book of the prophet, because the spirit that called him to this work told him, you are the voice of him crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way for the Lord. But he mirrored the dimension of Elijah, wearing the same kind of garment, living a fasted life, and then dwelling in the wilderness, away from civilization of men. A clip that was shared by our leader to us this weekend. A man was doing an analysis, even down to the kind of clothes. Remember, he was saying, this one comes wears white and white, this one comes wear white and white, even down to their garment. You could trace them. Listen, just like what we say, wearing certain kind of attire will not make you to be a less Christian. Dressing in a particular way will not make it mean that that it's only when you appear in this way that you go to heaven. But there are certain dimensions that go with certain protocol, and if you must trap those dimensions, you must also maintain their protocol. So stop questioning a lot of things and say, I must say it this way, the other person is also a child of God and is doing it that way. My brother, mantles are different. Dimensions you want to trap are also different. The one, even to the New Testament, you will see Paul. I want to read this particular one. Can we see Galatians chapter 1, verse 11 and 12, then 15 to 20. 11 and 12. Media? Galatians chapter 1, 11 and 12. He said, but I make known to you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached by me is not according to men. Next. For I neither received it from man, nor was I taught it, but it came through the revelation of Jesus Christ. Now, while Paul came into the scene, there had been apostles before him. I hope you know that. And then if you watch the dimension he trapped, you will see that there is something particularly different from the apostle, the gospel that that Paul preached to the other apostles. Even Peter could bear witness. He said that our dear brother Paul teaches some hard things that I had to believe, which unschooled men distort to their own destruction. Apostle Peter said it is hard. Now, verse 15. Go to verse 15. Let's see. Verse 15. He said, but when it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me through his grace, 16, to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the Gentiles, I did not immediately confer with flesh and blood. Next. Nor did I go to Jerusalem to those who were apostles before me, but I went to Arabia and returned again to Damascus. So then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and remained with him 15 days. So now we can continue with that. But now the point I want to make here is that I hope you know, taking the gospel to the Gentiles was a dimension that was not known. It was not known because everything that God did was modeled within Israel. Even Jesus told his disciples, do not go beyond the lost sheep, right, when he was with them. Although when he was going, he said, this authority, go into the nations, right? It was when he was going, he said that. Even heaven need to do extra work to get Peter to go to Joppa. To go to Cornelius' house. So he had to go and reveal to Cornelius, send the Spirit will talk to Peter. Men will say, everything has to, so that Peter can go. If not, he will go nowhere. But because a man trapped a dimension that was not taught to him by man, he became more, even though he was of a Pharisee, who should even be more strict than Peter, who is not neither Sadducee nor a Pharisee. He's not even a scribe. So it should have been more difficult for Paul to relate with the Gentiles, but because he has trapped a dimension from God, it was easier for him to relate with the Gentiles without feeling any form of anything went wrong. And then you will also understand that Paul had to rebuke Peter at a point when certain men came from James and they started withdrawing. He said that thing has not really been enshrined in them. And then Barnabas was also carried away in the same hypocrisy. But Paul was the one that needed to restore them. He journeyed and trapped that dimension. Brothers and sisters, I want to say to us that mantle that Paul carried, of which Aaron, by men who have not even, probably might not have fasted or prayed, collected, and demons left men, that mantle is still on earth. He didn't go to heaven. Did you understand what I said? April, the Bible said in Acts chapter 19 that the Aprils were collected from Paul. Even one day I was driving out of the compound and I told myself, wait. That today we say that they collected one of your clothes and took it to Juju house. And then the chief priest there did something and then it's affecting you. While Abram from Paul was taken from him, and demons left, that they should take my clothes to a juju house, and then the idol should not walk. Because Abram from Paul was taken, and then when they got to the demon-possessed man, the demon left him. Healings were done by the same. I say we have lost some dimensions. Those dimensions need to be returned back. How did he do it? How? Brethren, I believe I'm sent to tell you today that it is possible for men to journey and intercept these wells, these spiritual portals opened by the fathers. For many has labored, but you have entered their labor. I know that men would not seek what they don't know that exists. So part of the help that God brings to us is to make us understand certain dimensions that are possible. Then people can journey. He said, make the vision plain. Then a herald can run with it. Since the fathers have dug this well, if we intercept it, we may not even labor like they have labored to manifest the dimensions that has been trapped by them in God. Now, the big question I had when these things were coming to be, Lord, I believe, but how? How can we intercept these portals? How can we journey into them? How can we stumble, even if it is by chance, like Jacob stumbled into the well that Abraham dug, spiritual well? And then I saw the answer. Can we go to back to that Genesis? Remember what I said at the beginning, that it is in man that God made a possibility of trapping heaven and earth. That means union. And then it was also in that same trajectory. Let's read Genesis chapter 28. I saw the answer here. Verse 1. There are other examples, but let's begin from there. He said, then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, you shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. The Lord began to open my eyes from this very scripture, then to others. And the point here, he said, it is when you seek a union that you can stumble into this dimension. He said the relationship of God, that's Jesus Christ, personified God, and the church is a marriage relationship. Right? Is a marriage relationship. Jacob was seeking a union with a wife when he stumbled into this. Are we getting what I'm saying? So, if I seek a union with the Lord, as the Lord seeks to unite with his bride, then the marriage can occur. It is in this journey of seeking union with him that you will stumble into this well. Are we getting that? the apostles left everything they were doing to seek a union with Christ. When they intercepted into the dimension of the same portal, of the same spiritual possibility that Christ drew down. Are we getting the point? Then Jesus also made a statement to them. When they asked him, he said, why do the disciples of the Pharisees and that of John fast and yours go about eating? He said, why will the friends of the bridegroom mourn while the bridegroom is with them? He said, the day the bridegroom is taken away from them, what will happen? They will fast. Now, you see where the hunger comes in, because fasting is not necessarily that you said you will not eat. No, there is a greater hunger that trivializes the hunger of food. Wait, I don't know whether you understood what I'm saying. I said Jesus was hungry. Another hunger came on him. Then the hunger of the body meant nothing. That he said, I have a food to eat that you know nothing about. He said, my meat now, for which the physical hunger was quenched, is that I do the will of the Father. So that hunger to do the will of the Father swallowed the hunger in the body. Brother, that is fasting. When men seek union with the bridegroom, and at the end of the day they lost touch with food. Food meant nothing. They could go days. Oh, I need to be united with my lover. I need to be united with God. I need to be one with him. He said, on such journeys, men will stumble into these dimensions. We will stumble into these portals. We will enter the labors that the fathers has made possible, that their dimensions to, or their pathway to, has been lost. Jacob stumbled into it by chance. He was not a pre-planted, but it was union he was seeking. He was seeking to be united with the wife. And then that dimension was open to him. In that you see hunger, but a different kind of hunger. The Bible says, blessed are those who hunger and taste after righteousness, for they shall be filled. They shall be filled. Can we see Psalm 24? That same Psalm 24 from verse 1 to 6 this time around. Okay. Say, he shall receive. That's 5. Please, 1. Let's see 1. Okay. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell in it. Next. He said, for he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. 3. Say, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who may stand in his holy place? This is also bridging the gap between heaven and earth. Next, he said, who may ascend? The next verse. Say, he who has a clean hand and a pure heart, who has not lifted his soul to idleness, one discipline. We will come to this matter again, because it was critical. It was critical. After hunger has made us stumble into hunger to be united with him, has made us stumble into dimensions. We will begin to seek, because that place of union is only one that can stand there. No other person, no idol. Idol is anything that replaces God in our life. So you are not given opportunity to have anything that you are united with except him. So let's see. Then he said, he shall receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. He shall receive. Mark that word, he shall receive. He said, this is Jacob. Oh, yeah. Have we gotten to 5 already? 6, 5. He said, he shall receive. Yes, be here. He said, he shall receive from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Verse 6. He said, this is Jacob, the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, Sarah. Now, if you read Genesis chapter 35, you discover that when Jacob was to return to Bethel, this time around consciously, he gave a charge to all his household. Let's see that passage, because it's very, very important, and we'll tie it to verse 2 of this particular scripture. He gave a serious warning. Genesis 35. Can we see verse 3 and 4? He said, then let us arise and go to Bethel. Remember, Bethel was the place he had that encounter. So this time around, it was a conscious return to Bethel. It's not an accidental one. He said, and I will make an altar there to the Lord to strengthen that which has been made, who answered me in the days of my distress and has been with me in the way which I have gone. Verse 4. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hands. Let's stay on this chapter. This verse. They gave Jacob all, not some, all the foreign gods. You see, we can never be united with him in marriage if there is still a third party. The Bible says, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother and be united. He said, daughter of Zion, forget your house, forget your family, that the king may delight in your beauty. So the very things that were our succor, the very things that gave us solace, we must separate from if we must be united with him. Jacob said, give me all your foreign gods. Give me. And you see what it is? The Bible said, so he separated them from all their idols before they journeyed back to Bethel, where there will be a union between heaven and earth. Brethren, the question today, what are the things in our lives that is still making our binding with him very impossible? My prayer is that God will give us eyes only for him. Paul said, when I saw the excellency of knowing him, I counted every other thing but junk. Do you still have ambitions? Do you still have a desire that is, you have now still been turning between two opinions? Can I journey? Am I giving myself full time to this journey, or are there things that are still distracting you? You know, for Elisha to enter into the portals that Elijah has opened, he needed to sacrifice all distractions, all the animals animals, he slaughtered them and used the wood of the charge of those charge and made a feast, boiled all those and gave them up. He burnt the bridge so that he could not find anything to return. The Bible said that they were not pleased to return to the country that they came out from. Therefore, God was not ashamed to be called their God. The Almighty was no more ashamed to be called their God. First, they burnt their bridges. The apostles also laid down, if they must be united with Christ, you must separate your heart from every idol, anything that could cause a distraction. I say, if this is just your work, if you can do this, then we can follow. Without that, following is impossible. Gehazi did not sacrifice all the idols. He still had desire for certain greatness, so called, and this caused a divided attention that he could not bond. And that union, as long as he lacked, the mantle could not rest on him. As long as that union, and as long as there is something causing a rift in our heart, union with him is impossible. Union with him is impossible. Brethren, this is about all that I have on this for now. But it is important that we get some of the points. There are not too many points here that is confusing. It needs to be clear so that we know what we are pursuing on our individual pursuits. And even though it may seem individual, but we will still converge at the same point if we run the same. Because the one that we seem to unite with is one. He said, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, he is one." So all of us will still converge in that place, and that is when the unity of the Spirit is possible. That's when we can attain unity of the Spirit, because every man has laid down all the differences. All we have now is oneness, and that oneness will bring us all together. Then the oil, the Bible says how good and pleasant it is for brothers to gather in unity. It said it is like oil, the oil that came on the head of Aaron that went down to his breast. Brethren, I believe that why God is bringing these things to us now is that the harvest is near. Say, is there not? Do you not say it is only for 4 months to harvest? Brethren, there is something we don't even understand it fully, but as we journey on this path, we will stumble into it. As we journey on this path, separating ourselves from the idols, from everything that will cause a divided heart. He said about Ezra, he prepared his heart to seek the God of his fathers. May the Lord help us to prepare our hearts to seek him, that we will have undivided attention and nothing will matter to us. You think those distractions did not come to Elisha? They came. In fact, they came in a spiritual tone to him. Do you know the Lord is going to take away your master from you today? He said, I know, but hold your peace. There is union that I'm seeking, and as long as I keep my gaze on him, it will happen. It will happen. You will remember that even when the mantle fell from Elisha, it was not like a clear-cut, from Elijah. Oh, Elijah, I want to hand over to you. No. The man cried out, my father, my father. It was in that cry that the mantle fell. Then he picked it. He picked it because his gaze was on his master. When he saw how he treated the river as they were on that journey, he saw it was the same mantle that he struck. Because he saw it, when he got to that place, he didn't bother. He was not confused about what to do. He knew what to do. He took the same thing, rolled it. Bah! Where is the God of Elijah? The river parted. The river parted. Just imagine if Elisha managed not to see that dimension and still saw when the mantle fell. He wouldn't know what to do with the mantle at that point. Can we begin to talk to God? Can we ask him simple prayer, but from the heart? Not a cry. Jesus said, many has labored, but you have entered. You have entered. You did not need to do all the labors, but you just entered. Elisha, all he needed to do is to burn every distraction and keep following. As long as he followed, it rested on him. Elisha did not go on 40 days, 40 nights journey like Elijah did. The fathers have done the more Herculean task. They have done the labors. They have done the labors. They have opened dimensions. All we just need to do is to follow. As long as we follow, we will stumble. As long as we follow, we will stumble into it. By chance, we will know certain dimension possible to them will be open to us. Will be open to us. It will be open to us. Can we just ask him, take me on this journey, give me eyes only for you, give me eyes only for you, that nothing can distract my attention. The Bible said if your eyes be single, your whole body will be full of light. Until the day star dawns upon us. For the path of the jaws is like a shining light, and it shines brighter and brighter unto a perfect day. Oh, this journey is into light. This journey is into light. This journey is a journey into light. And the Almighty will open dimensions. We will stumble into things that we never planned.